I want you to take a second and just imagine a scenario with me. Just picture this in your mind.
Okay.
You have been through the unthinkable. You've endured the tragic, completely unexpected death of your husband.
The kind of grief that just shatters everything.
Exactly. The grief was so heavy it actually broke your reality for a while, pulling you into this really deep depression. But you fought your way back to the surface.
Which is incredibly hard to do.
So hard. And you've rebuilt your life piece by painstakingly difficult choice. You found a wonderful new partner, a grounding, loving man who just adores your 10-year-old son.
Right. You're finally safe.
You are packing up the moving boxes, you're sealing them with tape, ready to move into a beautiful seaside home. Your life is finally feeling safe. Perfect, even.
Sounds idyllic.
It does. And then one afternoon, you walk into a routine business meeting for your job. You look across the room and you come face to face with your dead husband.
Wow.
He is standing right there. He's casually holding a newborn baby, and he is about to marry someone else.
It is the ultimate nightmare scenario, honestly. I mean, we rely on the absolute finality of death to process profound grief.
Right, there's a grieving process.
Exactly. When that finality is ripped away, especially in such a mundane setting like a daytime business meeting, the psychological shock is almost impossible to quantify.
Because it's a meeting. You're holding a coffee cup or a clipboard, not expecting your reality to break.
Yes. It introduces a terrifying duality for the person experiencing it. Either the fundamental laws of the universe are broken or your own mind is breaking down again.
That makes you wonder how someone even begins to process that kind of sensory input. And that is really the driving engine of our deep dive today.
We have a lot of ground to cover.
We really do. We are exploring the intensely complex web of lies, the masterful psychological manipulation, and the hidden identities layered within a really specific, gripping psychological thriller.
I'm so excited for this one.
Me too. So the book name is My Husband's Wife by Carla Kovach. And our mission today is to untangle the mechanics of this massive deception.
The thematic layers we have to explore here are incredibly dense. I mean, we aren't just looking at a surprising plot twist for the sake of entertainment.
No, it goes way deeper than that.
It really does. We need to deeply explore the mechanics of gaslighting, the terrifying anatomy of a true psychopath, and perhaps the most unsettling realization of all.
Which is?
The idea that the people who sleep next to us, the people we share our closest, most intimate moments with, might actually be complete strangers.
If you've ever doubted your own memory or your own sanity during an argument with a partner, if you've ever had that moment of thinking, wait, did that happen the way I remember it?
Oh, absolutely.
This deep dive is going to hit incredibly close to home for you. Okay, let's unpack this from the very beginning. Because when we first meet our main character, Eva, she actually thinks she is finally safe.
We begin with Eva in a state of really hopeful transition. She is a wedding planner working at the Seahorse Hotel.
Which sounds lovely.
It does. Her life is finally settling into a beautiful, predictable rhythm. She has a 10-year-old son named Caden, whom she clearly adores and protects fiercely. She has this cute little bestie dog named Freddie.
Gotta love Freddie.
And she has a brand new husband, Zach.
And Zach seems like the kind of guy you'd invent in a laboratory if you wanted a stable, supportive partner.
He really is the picture of stability.
He's a plasterer. He's great with his hands. He's been spending the last 2 months completely transforming this seaside house in Comartin into their dream home.
He's putting in the sweat equity.
Right. Eva is posting photos to Instagram with the caption, New Beginnings. She's looking at her son sleeping on the couch, having these heart-melting moments, thinking about how she is finally leaving the dark past behind.
What's fascinating here is how the author uses that clean slate as a psychological setup.
How do you mean?
Well, in any thriller of this caliber, a pristine surface is usually just a white sheet covering something terrible. We get a hint of this foundational deception right in the prologue.
Oh, the prologue. That really sets the tone.
It does. We're given this isolated snippet of a woman who has just taken a positive pregnancy test. Her partner is outside the bathroom door, overjoyed, pouring champagne. He is completely elated.
Standard happy couple stuff.
But then she looks at him, resting his hand on her stomach, and thinks to herself, why would I love him so much am I lying so badly? I can't ever tell him that the baby isn't his.
I remember reading that and feeling an immediate sense of dread. It establishes right away that the foundation of love and family in this universe can be built on a catastrophic lie.
A total fabrication.
You can be clinking glasses to a shared future while secretly holding a truth that would destroy it all.
Exactly. It primes you to trust nothing.
But let's bring it back to Eva. She's at work, going about her day. Who exactly does she meet in this fateful client meeting?
So Eva, in her capacity as a wedding planner, has a meeting with a new client named Madison.
Madison owns the salon, right?
Yes, Madison Avenue. Very successful retro 50s style salon. She brings her fiance, a man she introduces as Theo, and their 3-month-old baby to the meeting.
And what happens the second Eva lays eyes on Theo? Because this is the moment her entire rebuilt reality shatters.
It's brilliant how it's written. The human brain attempts to process the impossible, and it just fails.
It short circuits.
Completely. When Eva looks at Theo, she doesn't just see a resemblance. She sees her deceased husband, Hugo.
Not a look-alike.
Him. They have the exact same specific mole. He has the same deeply specific hobby birdwatching. The only discrepancy is that Theo has brown eyes and Hugo had a different eye color.
Which is a tiny detail compared to a literal dead man standing in front of you.
Exactly. The text describes Eva's reaction so viscerally. The air is sucked out of her lungs, the cup she is holding slips from her fingers, hits the floor, and the handle shatters.
I love that detail, the shattered handle.
She describes her feet feeling like they've been filled with concrete.
You can feel the panic attack just reading it. Imagine seeing a ghost, but the ghost is complaining about having to change a dirty nappy.
Right, it's so surreal.
It's the collision of a reality-breaking event with a completely mundane domestic task. But wait, if she knows it's him, why doesn't she just scream it right there?
Because of the cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Logic dictates this is impossible. She has the death certificate.
And the funeral.
There was a body recovered from a fire. More importantly, there was a DNA test on that body. And science tells us DNA doesn't lie.
It's the gold standard of proof.
But her visceral reality, her eyes, her intuition is screaming that the man standing in front of her is her husband.
So she's frozen.
She's looking at him, waiting for a flicker of recognition. But he gives her absolutely nothing. He hides behind fake round glasses, playing the part of the flustered new dad perfectly.
And because he plays it so cool, the immediate reaction of everyone in the room is to doubt Eva.
Which is so frustrating.
She tries to subtly point out the impossible to Madison, who just writes her off as being ill. Theo uses this patronizing, concerned voice to suggest Eva isn't well.
This plays directly into a very damaging societal trope, the hysterical woman.
Oh, absolutely.
When a woman claims something that disrupts the comfortable narrative, society's first instinct is to question her sanity rather than investigate her claim.
It's easier to say she's crazy than to deal with the truth.
And in Eva's case, there is a clinical history that makes her incredibly vulnerable to this dismissal. After Hugo's supposed death, Eva suffered from postpartum psychosis.
Let's pause there for a second because the word psychosis gets thrown around casually in pop culture.
It does, and it's heavily misunderstood.
What did that actually look like for Eva, and why does it make her such an easy target for gaslighting now?
That's a crucial distinction to make. Postpartum psychosis is a severe, very real mental illness that can occur after childbirth. It's characterized by a complete loss of touch with reality.
So it's not just depression.
No, it can include hallucinations, severe confusion, paranoia. For Eva, the trauma of losing her husband right after having a child triggered this terrifying break.
She had to be hospitalized, right?
Yes, she had to fight tooth and nail to regain her cognitive baseline.
So, when she says, "My dead husband is alive," and in the next room, the people around her, who remember her previous break from reality, immediately assume the psychosis has returned.
It's the most logical, tragic conclusion for them to jump to.
That makes the gaslighting so much more sinister. They're using her genuine past medical trauma to invalidate her current, accurate perception.
Weaponizing her own medical history against her.
And the most painful dismissal comes from Hugo's own family. Eva calls Cynthia Hugo's adoptive mother. You would think the mother of the deceased would want to know if there's even a fraction of a chance her son is alive.
You would hope so.
But Cynthia's response is just brutal.
Cynthia sighs on the phone and immediately asks, "Are you ill again?"
That hurts.
She uses Eva's past medical history as a weapon. She mocks her, asking, just like he was dead when he was alive.
So cruel.
Cynthia tells her to go see a doctor, to stop this nonsense, and to go back to her life. It's a masterclass in deflection.
I struggle to give Cynthia a pass here. I know we'll get into her motivations later, but shutting down a woman who is clearly in distress, using her past trauma against her, it makes you want to scream.
It's completely alienating.
Eva is completely isolated, but while Eva is spiraling into this terrifying uncertainty, there is another woman in the room who is completely unaware of the bomb that has just been dropped.
Madison.
We really need to look at Madison, the new fiancé. How does an independent, successful salon owner get tangled up with a man living a completely fabricated life?
Madison's situation is a perfect study in the claustrophobia of deception.
That's a great phrase for it.
When we look at her background with Theo, we see the classic grooming techniques of an abusive, controlling partner. Madison was single, she owned a thriving business, she had agency.
She was doing great.
Then she meets Theo, who plays the ultimate sympathy card. He's gorgeous, he's brooding, and he claims to have agoraphobia.
He spins this incredibly tragic backstory
The
around.
worst you can imagine.
He tells Madison that his parents and his twin sister Emily all died in a horrific house fire, and that the fire was caused by his own mother falling asleep with a lit cigarette in her mouth.
A narrative like that is designed to do two very specific things. First, it makes Madison feel deep sympathy for him, triggering a caretaking instinct. She feels he needs love and patience to heal.
She wants to fix him.
Second, and much more insidiously, it isolates her.
Because of the agoraphobia.
Exactly. By claiming agoraphobia, he dictates the physical boundaries of their relationship.
Yeah.
The romance plays out entirely in his dark, unloved, brooding cottage. He controls the environment completely.
She comes to his territory on his terms.
Always.
You know that feeling when you catch a partner in a tiny white lie about where they bought dinner and your stomach drops because you wonder what else they might be lying about?
Yes.
Multiply that by 1,000,000 because the facade starts cracking for Madison.
It cracks in weird, careless ways.
She finds a wedding ring in the garbage bin with the inscription, "Love you forever."
In the bin.
Theo just brushes it off. Then she finds out his mother didn't actually die in a fire. He casually mentions they've been in touch recently.
Which is insane.
How do you just drop that the mother you said burned to death is actually texting you?
The lies become sloppy. This is incredibly common with extreme narcissists or psychopaths. They believe they are so intellectually superior that they don't need to perfectly maintain the illusion anymore.
They just get lazy.
They assume their control over the victim is so absolute that the victim will simply accept whatever new reality is presented.
Madison also catches him wearing colored contact lenses, which explains the brown eyes Eva saw. And most terrifyingly, she starts experiencing his sudden, vicious mood swings.
That's where the real danger shows.
Whenever she questions him or confronts him about an inconsistency, he immediately turns it around on her. He accuses her of having baby brain.
Gaslighting 101.
He tells her she has postnatal stress. He tells her she's barely present when they talk. He is effectively making her doubt her own memory and cognitive function.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is a textbook technique for maintaining dominance. By convincing the victim that their perception of reality is flawed, that they are forgetful, stressed, or emotionally unstable, the abuser positions themselves as the only reliable source of truth in the relationship.
Madison begins to feel incredibly claustrophobic. She is ironically feeling trapped by a man who claims to be agoraphobic.
It's a psychological prison.
You can feel her anxiety building. She's zooming in on Eva's Instagram photos, trying to figure out why this wedding planner recognized her fiancé.
Doing the social media deep dive.
We've all been there. She's sneaking into Theo's cabin, looking at photos of 2 premature babies that don't make sense with the story he told her. But she doesn't just pack her bags and leave. Why is it so hard for someone in Madison's position to hit the brakes?
We have to look at the sunk cost fallacy. This is a powerful psychological trap, especially in abusive relationships.
Explain that for the listeners.
In finance, the sunk cost fallacy is when you continue investing money into a failing project because you've already spent so much on it. In relationships, the currency is emotion, time, and life structure.
You just don't want to admit it was a waste.
Madison has invested everything into this fabricated reality. She has a 3-month-old baby with him. She named that baby Emily, after Theo's supposedly dead sister.
Which is a horrifying detail once you realize the sister never existed.
It's chilling. She's actively planning a wedding. She is in the process of selling her beloved salon to move away with him.
When your entire life, your finances, your child, and your future are entangled with someone, the psychological hurdle to admit it's all a lie is massive.
It's paralyzing.
It's often easier for the brain to try and fix the person or ignore the red flags than to detonate your entire life.
Precisely. Detonating your life requires a massive amount of energy and confronts you with terrifying uncertainty. Staying, even in a state of growing unease, feels like the path of least resistance.
Until you just can't take it anymore.
Right, until the cognitive dissonance becomes too great to bear.
Right.
And for Madison, that breaking point eventually arrives.
There's this chilling confrontation where Madison finally pushes him too far. She demands the truth about the ring, about his mother, about Eva and the contact lenses.
And Theo's mask just falls off.
He smashes her phone. He physically intimidates her. She realizes in that horrifying moment that she has had a baby with a man she does not know at all.
A total stranger in her house.
But I'm still hung up on the mechanics of this. If the DNA test confirmed it was Hugo's body in the fire, how is he standing in Devon smashing Madison's phone?
This brings us to the dark core of the story and the terrifying reality of Hugo's survival. He didn't miraculously survive a fire in Malvern.
Okay.
The body that was found in the ashes, the body that was definitively identified by police DNA testing, was his twin brother.
His twin brother. A brother he hid from Eva entirely.
Completely erased him.
He murdered his own twin just to escape his life.
Yes. Hugo murdered his own twin brother, Theo. Because identical twins share the same DNA profile, the forensic test on the burned body confirmed it was Hugo.
Allowing him to effectively and legally die.
He then stole his dead brother's identity, changed his eye color with contacts, and moved to Devon to start a new life.
The sheer logistical and sociopathic effort required to pull that off is staggering.
It's beyond cold-blooded.
To look at your own twin brother, someone who shares your exact face, and murder them in cold blood just because you were bored of your marriage to Eva or running from your responsibilities.
It takes a level of emotional detachment that is hard to even comprehend.
It requires a profound structural lack of empathy.
And to understand the root of that, we have to revisit Cynthia, Hugo's adoptive mother.
Right, the phone call.
When Eva finally pushes her, when she forces Cynthia to confront the reality that Hugo is alive and terrorizing people again, the dam breaks. Cynthia reveals the terrifying truth about the boy they adopted.
Cynthia says they adopted Hugo hoping to help him, but she admits you can't change a psychopath.
That line is so heavy.
She drops this absolute bombshell. Hugo is responsible for his adoptive sister being permanently paralyzed and stripped of her identity.
He destroyed his own adoptive family before he ever even met Eva.
This raises an incredibly difficult question about Cynthia's silence. Why didn't she warn Eva years ago? Why, on Eva's wedding day, did Cynthia say nothing while this young woman tied herself to a monster?
Cynthia's answer is fear. Deep, paralyzing terror.
That's still...
Hugo's threats against his adoptive family were so severe, his capacity for violence so proven by what he did to his sister, that his parents chose to let Eva walk into the lion's den rather than risk his wrath.
I hear what you're saying about self-preservation, but I really struggle with this. She let another woman walk into a marriage with a known sociopath.
It's incredibly hard to justify.
She let her have a child with him. Isn't that a severe form of complicity? When Cynthia gaslit Eva on the phone, telling her she was crazy for thinking Hugo was alive, she was actively protecting a murderer to save her own skin.
It is morally reprehensible, without question. It demonstrates how a psychopath's radius of destruction extends far beyond their immediate victims.
They poison everything.
They create a culture of terror that forces otherwise decent people into agonizing moral compromises. Cynthia chose her paralyzed daughter's safety over Eva's life. It is an impossible choice, but the result is that Eva was fed to the wolves.
And Hugo doesn't just want to survive, he enjoys the psychological warfare.
He thrives on it.
Once he realizes Eva knows he's alive, he starts taunting her. He breaks into her new, supposedly safe home in Coombe Martin and leaves a toy raven on her kitchen counter.
Just a little plastic bird staring at her.
The raven is a classic symbol of ill omen, but in this context, it's a message of absolute boundaryless control.
He is showing Eva that her safe space is an illusion.
He can penetrate the fortress she has built with Zach.
This need to dominate culminates in the most terrifying sequence in the book, the climax in the van.
The van scene is pure nightmare fuel.
It really is.
Eva is tied to the passenger seat of a van. It is pouring rain. Hugo has completely dropped the Theo persona and is driving them toward the cliffs of Coombe Martin.
And he has that toy raven.
He has taken that toy raven and stuck it right to the dashboard, front and center. Facing what she believes is her imminent death, Eva asks him why. Why did he do all of this?
His response perfectly encapsulates the mind of an abuser. He yells at her, and all you had to do was to be a fucking mother and forget about me.
It makes you sick to your stomach.
He does.
He feels entirely justified. He is blaming Eva for his decision to murder his brother and fake his death. In his twisted mind, because she struggled with postnatal depression, she forced his hand.
What we are looking at in that van is a textbook example of DARVO.
Let's break that down for the listeners. DARVO.
It's an acronym that stands for Deny, Attack, and Reverse Victim and Offender. This is exactly what listeners should look out for in manipulative arguments in their own lives.
Walk us through it. How does Hugo use Darvo in this specific moment?
First, he denies his own agency. He acts like faking his death and murdering his twin wasn't a calculated evil choice, but an inevitable reaction to his circumstances.
Like he had no other option.
Right. Second, he attacks Eva's character, aggressively calling her a bad mother, weaponizing her deepest insecurities against her.
Which is so low.
Finally, he reverses the victim and offender. He makes himself out to be the victim of her postpartum depression. He positions Eva as the villain who ruined his life, thereby justifying his horrific actions as mere self-defense or necessary escape.
He takes zero accountability.
None whatsoever.
It's terrifying because it's a tactic used in everyday toxic relationships, just scaled up to a lethal degree here.
It's the ultimate manipulation.
But if you think Hugo is the only one wearing a mask in this story, the author pulls the rug out from under us again. Because the deepest, most painful cuts in this book don't actually come from the psychopath.
No, they don't.
They come from the people Eva thought were saving her. We have to talk about the betrayals of the so-called saviors.
This is where Carla Kovach truly excels at dismantling the concept of trust.
Let's start with Nicole. Nicole is presented as a friend, someone in Eva's inner circle.
But Nicole harbors a massive secret. 11 years ago, she had an intimate encounter with Hugo in a car.
Her supposed friend's husband.
Yes. And Nicole's guilt and fear over this, her entanglement in Hugo's web, leads her to do something unspeakably cruel to Eva.
She lures Eva into a situation where Eva is literally trapped inside a wooden box.
It's so hard to read.
Eva is left in the dark, screaming, bruising her knuckles, trying to punch her way out, completely hyperventilating, convinced she's going to be buried alive in the woods.
The physical claustrophobia of that wooden box perfectly mirrors the psychological claustrophobia Eva has been trapped in for years.
That's a really good point.
She's been boxed in by Hugo's lies, boxed in by Cynthia's silence, boxed in by society's dismissal of her sanity, and now physically boxed in by a female friend.
Even though Nicole eventually helps Madison later on, the damage she inflicts on Eva through her lies and this physical imprisonment is profound.
It demonstrates how proximity to a psychopath corrupts everyone around them. People start behaving in monstrous ways just to manage the monster.
But as terrible as Nicole's betrayal is, the revelation about Zach just broke my heart.
That was the twist that really hurt.
Zach, the loving new husband, the man who spent 2 months making her house perfect, the man who bonded with her son. We find out that their entire relationship is built on a massive, calculated lie.
Zach didn't just meet Eva by chance. He actively, intentionally sought her out.
At a bereavement group, of all places.
Yes, he attended her bereavement group, a sacred space for vulnerable, grieving people specifically to infiltrate her life.
What was his motive?
His motive was that Zach was grieving his own brother, and he was investigating Hugo. He used Eva as a mark to get closer to the truth about what happened to his family.
He admits that over time, he genuinely fell in love with her. He tells her, "I love you, Eva. That wasn't a lie."
But he allowed her to marry him without ever telling her his true identity or his original motive for approaching her.
It brings up a really uncomfortable question for anyone listening. If someone lies to you fundamentally about how you met, but the love that develops is genuinely real, does the initial lie poison the whole well?
Zach clearly thinks the ends justify the means. He argues that his love became real, and that his initial deception was for a good cause, catching a murderer.
But is it?
We have to ask if a lie of omission on that scale is a form of emotional abuse. He fundamentally stripped Eva of her agency to choose who she marries based on the truth.
I lean toward yes, it absolutely poisons the will. How can a victim ever trust again when both the villain, Hugo, and the supposed hero, Zach, manipulated their way into her bed and into her child's life?
They both used her.
Exactly. They both saw her as a means to an end. Hugo saw her as an incubator and a cover story. Zach saw her as a stepping stone to an investigation. Neither of them respected her enough to give her the truth.
Which makes the epilogue of this book so vital to the thematic resolution.
We don't see Eva broken by this final betrayal.
Not at all. We see a remarkable scene of empowerment.
Yes. 2 days after the climax, Eva is calmly sitting at her table. Zach has packed his bags. He tries to tell her he loves her, and she just kicks him out.
Good for her.
She refuses to be a pawn in anyone's game anymore. She tells him, "You inserted yourself into my life when I was vulnerable. I believed you."
She claims her power.
She notes that she gets to keep the house equity, she's taking her son, and she is choosing solitude and truth over a comforting lie. It is a hard-won, brilliant victory.
She has finally broken the cycle of being defined by the secrets of the men around her. And this journey Eva takes perfectly encapsulates the broader landscape of the author's work.
If we zoom out and look at the Carla Kovach universe, we see these themes playing out across different narratives, exploring the same fundamental paranoias.
The book gives us these tantalizing glimpses into her other thrillers, and they all share this incredibly dark DNA.
Let's look at On a Quiet Street.
That's a great example. It's about a woman living what she thinks is a perfect life on a tree-lined street, until an 18-year-old girl knocks on her door looking for her biological parents.
Suddenly, the protagonist fears her husband is hiding a secret child, but it turns out the protagonist's own lies might be even worse.
It mirrors that prologue we discussed, the rot beneath the perfect suburban facade.
Then there is Find Me, which deals with a much more primal, immediate terror.
Yes, a baby is snatched from a pushchair on a pier in the blink of an eye. This leads to decades of torment and mystery.
It echoes the vulnerability Eva feels regarding her own son, Caden, and the realization that the things we cherish most can be taken in a fraction of a second by forces we don't understand.
And then there's What She Did, which is about a woman living a tiny, invisible life in a one-bedroom apartment, trying to hide from a terrible past where she believes she caused the loss of everyone she loved.
It's the inverse of Hugo.
Exactly. Hugo fakes his death to escape responsibility. The protagonist in What She Did erases her own life because she is consumed by the weight of her perceived responsibility.
And we can't forget the excerpt for the next girl.
The setup is chilling.
A killer picks up a young Romanian woman named Nicoletta simply because, from behind, she looks like his Debbie.
And when he realizes she isn't Debbie, he casually takes out a duster to wipe down the passenger seat because her perfume makes him gag.
That detail with the duster is what gets me.
It is so clinical.
It reduces a human life to an unpleasant odor that needs to be wiped away. It shows that same profound lack of empathy we see in Hugo.
If we synthesize these themes across Kovach's work, it becomes clear that she specializes in the terror of the domestic sphere.
The monsters in her books aren't hiding in haunted houses or creeping around in dive alleys.
They are sharing your bed, they are holding your children, they are drinking coffee in your kitchen.
She uses these recurring motifs, stolen identities, children at the center of adult deception, the heavy burden of the past to ask a fundamental question about human nature.
Which brings us to why we, as readers and listeners, are so drawn to these deep dives into psychological thrillers. Why do we want to read about such intimate betrayals?
I believe it's because these books allow for the safe exploration of our deepest, most primal paranoias.
It touches on that terrifying universal fear that we can never truly know the inner workings of the minds of our loved ones.
Reading these thrillers provides a controlled environment to process the what-ifs of our own relationships and vulnerabilities.
So what does this all mean for us?
My husband's wife is an incredibly tense masterclass in the fragility of trust. Eva survived a textbook psychopath in Hugo, navigating a labyrinth of gaslighting and societal dismissal, only to realize that the safe life she built afterward with Zach was also just a meticulously constructed illusion.
Yet the takeaway isn't despair.
Not at all. She emerges empowered. She chooses the harsh, cold reality of solitude over the warm, comfortable blanket of lies. She demands the truth, even when it costs her the life she thought she wanted.
And that leaves us with a final, rather unsettling thought for you to carry with you today. Think about the person closest to you right now.
Your partner, your best friend, your sibling.
You know their favorite food. You know their daily routines. You know the stories they tell about their childhood.
But if they decided to completely erase themselves tomorrow, if they decided to become a ghost in a new town with a new name and a new eye color, would you actually be able to prove who they really are inside?
Or are we all, every single day, just taking the people we love at their word?
On that wonderfully paranoid note, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you enjoyed untangling this intensely complex story with us. Remember to keep asking questions, stay curious, and maybe take a slightly closer look at the details of your own life today. See you next time.